So the next presentation is from Dr. Thaksaphon Thammarangsi from Thailand, under the topic of tobacco and alcohol endemic in youth, how to win both games. This is a talk that's going to combine both tobacco and alcohol problem together, and we'll try to figure out how to win those two problems together. Dr. Thaksaphon, he's a doctor. He's from the International Health Policy Program, or IHPP. He graduated Doctor of Medicine from Siriraj Hospital, Mahidol University, Master of Public Health from Faculty of Public Health, Mahidol University also, and doctorate degree from Health Policy, Massey University from New Zealand. His expertise is in NCD, or non-communicable disease, in prevention and controls, focusing on the policies that address the modifiable health risks, and also the health system and policy research. Very interesting. So I believe that he's in. Oh, hello, whenever you're ready.
Yep, I'm ready. But I wonder, Dr. Nathai, is there any afternoon break, or just should I start? Or but up to you.
We had the lunch break. Can we have a break? No? That's very strict. No break. Mini break.
Okay, that's fine. Ready? Okay, thank you very much. Let me please allow us to share the screen. Hope you can see. Okay, thank you very much. Call me Meg in short, as a nickname. I was given a very challenging title for my presentation here. The title, by nature, is a question asking how could we kill two birds with one stone, both tobacco and alcohol. My blunt answer is I don't know. I don't know how to win this huge battle, but I do know how you can help yourself and the ones you love and the ones who love you win this small battle one at a time. Hope you can see and hear me clearly. To start with my answer, let us hear a story of Catherine Commell, a little girl from Pennsylvania. Any one of you know this lady, this young lady? Please feel free if you want to shout, if you want to interact, that's totally fine with me. So her story started in 2006 when she was 5 years old. 5 years old. Catherine watched a documentary about malaria in Africa, and in that with her the mother Linda, and in that kind of documentary, she was stunned by the message saying that there's a child dying every 30 seconds from malaria in Africa. So she start counting 1, 2, 3 up to 30, and then she's so scared. She says there's this one girl, one boy, one of her age, dying just that short period. That is a strong call to herself, to Catherine. She has to do something. So her mom and Catherine found out later on that there's this one simple solution. The insecticide soaked mosquito net. If you put that mosquito net in the insecticide, it is very effective to prevent malaria. So a simple technology. And then she asked her mother, that's so simple. That won't be cost much. Why can't we have it? And her mother explained that it is unaffordable by many of her African colleagues sitting in sub-Saharan Africa, which is cost only $10, but that is still too high for them. A few days later on, Catherine teacher called her mother and asked what's wrong with Catherine because she did not having snack or buying snack. She started doing things differently. And then her mother asked, and she explained, if I stop having my snack, if I stop buying her Barbie doll, then soon we can get that $10. And yes, you're right. Catherine started with her pocket money for snack to buy that kind of net, the $10 net. Her mother then took her to a market downtown and buy one mosquito net, enough for 4 person. And then Catherine contacted an NGO called Nothing But Net. It is the civil society organization dealing with malaria in Africa. And then she hand over her $10 cost mosquito by herself. And then she got the certificate, the letter of certificate as a token of appreciation. And then she think that she can write this kind of thing. She can write this certificate with her handwriting. And then she start to advocate these good deeds in here and there. Start with her school, her community. By 1 year, she can raise $6,000. And then she sent this mosquito net to a small village in Ghana. And that was the time when the world know Catherine and know her project. Later on, she continued advancing her idea. Nothing but nets. Just donate money maybe by selling your old furniture and other things to get the simple thing. And 10 years after, she can raise around 10 million US, including by working with those philanthropic Bill Gates, David Beckham, and other celebrities. What do we learn from this story of Catherine? To me, first, simple approach doesn't mean simple result, in particularly if you do with big heart. Second, there's a power of commitment and action. If she just listened to the story of 30 seconds, that is a duration for one day for Maria, and sitting there, nothing will happen. And third, she got very good support from her mother to guide her. Her mother would be the best enabling environment for doing good things for Catherine. I won't discuss much about tobacco because you have heard it from from your speaker whole day. My style is to start with key messages in case we cannot cover in time. But these are my key messages for you to take home. Alcohol and tobacco, they are dangerous cocktail for health and beyond. And second, do not underestimate the power of small movement, small action, as we learned from Catherine. Every move counts. And lastly, youth can transform themselves from victim of the industry, the victim of the problem, into the power, into the solution. Believe in your youth power, especially when you are connect and strategize. Now, my real first slide would start with my apology. On behalf of my generation and my predecessors, I would like to apologize to you all of not being able to give you the society in the best possible manner we can do. We borrow the resource and potential from your generation without ability to pay back. We indeed compromise your ability to meet your own needs. But you yourself, you don't have to follow this great track. Strongly believe that you can deliver to your successor generation after you to get what they deserve. and the sustainable development might be the answer. People easily get lost, get confusion between sustainable development SD and sustainable development development goal or SDG. I put it in a simple way. SD is like learning process. SDG is only the test. We don't want our world to be a student who can pass the test but so dumb in the real world. So let us go back to the basic concept of balanced development between three pillars: economic, environment, and social development. We want our economic growth, yes, but not on the cost of the environment degradation. We want a greener world, yes, but not on the expense of social dilemma or breakdown. We should help the one who need the most, the furthest in the queue, leave no one behind. And this development area, even in terms of when they finally come in the form of SDG goals, 17 goals, they are integrated in nature. We cannot be a healthy people in unhealthy society and unhealthy environment. And it is the country-driven process, not the UN. SD and SDG is the concept and the tool that will promote the sustainable development. And I will show you that alcohol and tobacco are major obstacles for sustainable development. Yes, I'm not talking only about the SDG 3, the green one, on health and well-being. Evidence confirm that consequence of alcohol and tobacco consumption, production, distribution, marketing, and its negative consequence affect everyone in many ways. No one literally is spared from the problem of tobacco and alcohol. And you listen the whole day. And therefore, we are not talking about drinkers, smokers, but everyone. And we are not talking about you and me, but also our successor, our planet, and our society as a whole. My argument is that we, the people, and we, the whole society, have full legitimacy to intervene production, marketing, distribution, and consumption of this dangerous duo. If you hate inequity, if you cannot tolerate gender imbalance, if you don't like unjust exploitation, if you like to build up the future, the clear future for those vulnerable populations, if you want to make the world greener, your common answer is tobacco and alcohol. Let me select the vicious cycle of tobacco. This cycle, many of you have seen this one in perhaps a different form. But we know this cycle very well. People, especially those in vulnerable settings, are trapped in the left cycle: smoking, ill, death, poverty. In which we know very well that if we can break this cycle, there's this high chance of people to go on the right side, the cycle of more prosperity. Breaking the cycle also means breaking the binding that handcuffs them to their potential, the real potential. And this is the way to maximize and increase their potential and their capability. From the left to right, this figure alone, you can see that are associated with many SDGs, much beyond SDG 3 in the green one. At least I can point out 7 in this breaking of the cycle. You are not only to promote health, but you are promote the sustainable development of the whole society, and you help the one who need the most, just from tackling the tobacco pandemic. The tobacco industry always overestimate their claim on the significance of tobacco business to economy, which is not right. This slide shows that in Thailand, Thailand, we have lost 1 million young labor force, aged 15 to 49, the young adult of the society. 1 million labor loss, workforce loss in 25 years. And this is lost forever because they are premature death. Almost 1/3 of the tobacco attributable death are in the age of 15 to 49. They are present, and then they are the future of the Thai society. They are breadwinner to their family. But this is more or less not much relevant to your generation. I have an opportunity to explore your profiles, in particular your age. And many of you are in 20 to 24 age batch. So I wonder if you want to know the risk factor that be the biggest killer to your generation. So I explore some data and I come up with this metric. Some are from modeling from the report data from the past, and some are modeled from as futuristic modeling. But those who are born in 1995 to 1999, many of you are in this batch. You can see that the number one killer are alcohol use, obesity, high blood pressure, smoking. This will be a great killer for your next 20 years. So we have to address this issue to protect our common future. And I further wonder, what has killed, what is killing, and what will kill our youth? So I dug the database further and found out this one. Nothing changed the fact that alcohol use is the number one youth killer for this 60-year span from 1990 to up to 2020, 50-year span. Meanwhile, you know very well that tobacco-related harm will start to occur in the later stage of life. It would take few decades before burden from tobacco will eventually outweigh those of alcohol. Further on, the highest peak of tobacco-related mortality has not come yet. Even we have seen the drop of tobacco prevalence, the youth prevalence. It will come in your generation because it takes time. And if youth are our future, addressing alcohol is addressing the present of the future. And addressing tobacco would mean addressing the future of the present. So these are dangerous cocktails. That's why we need to focus on. Regardless to the present or the future, what is the most important part of you? The brain function is perhaps the most important factor that making you yourself, that making people capable to perform their expected function. You agree? World Bank has advocated for long about the concept of human capital as the most valuable input to the socio-economic development. And I cannot agree more with this. Let me show you about the effect of alcohol to brain development. We know well that alcohol can do harm to drinker brains, including the youngest victim of alcohol, which is yet born in the form of fetal alcohol spectrum disorder, FASD, affecting their lifelong cognitive function. And long ago, we scientists believe that the brain development end in late teen, 17, 18, and then our brain stop develop. But now evidence showing that our brain still develop up to mid-20, not much physically, but in terms of synapses, in terms of wiring, in terms of its function. So this function, if you see that the function that develop in late teen or early 20, they are very much significant for being a mature adult. like emotional control. We don't want to have the society with full of, adults that cannot manage their emotion well, that do not have adjustment, good adjustment and reasoning. So alcohol and so does tobacco very much affect brain, which is the important part of human capital. If we want a prosperity, a promising future, we need to address this one. A clear effect of tobacco and alcohol on human capital is what we call the gateway effect or gateway drug, in which we know well that when someone starts their first smoking, when someone starts drinking for the first time, that may be the life-changing event. Even after that, study in Thailand quite a long while ago, showing that those who drink among the students, the high school students, showing that those who drink literally have 5 times higher chance to use hard drug, 7 times higher likelihood for smoking, and many times higher for many other risky behaviors, as shown in this slide, in comparison with those abstainer counterparts. Quite a similar finding were also found in the gateway effect of tobacco. If you change alcohol to tobacco, that would be the same. Those smokers have higher chance of use, that have a chance of assaulting people, suicide idea, and others. After the first drink and first puff, life may be totally different, somewhat negative. So therefore, delaying the use onset is one major mechanism how we address alcohol, tobacco, and quality of life for youth. Among those vulnerable kids in tobacco world is those child labor. They are your future. To me, if unjust has a human face, it will be the face of these boy and girl who were abused, who were exploited by the tobacco industry. 60% and 21% of child labor in Indonesia and India are in tobacco industry, and they get piecemeal benefit while they are facing green tobacco sickness. And many of them soon become a heavy smoker and start that vicious cycle by themselves. It is therefore our task to bring them back to school, to promote their capacity, to bring them back to their potential, the intrinsic potential, which is handcuffed by the tobacco industry. Helping them is not only helping them, but their family and their future. So this reminds me of a memorable story of Mr. Noi. When I was a physician in a small rural hospital in the border between Thailand and Laos, around almost 30 years ago, sorry. At that time, I was the only one doctor in the hospital. And for many nights, I was called again and again to the emergency department of the hospital. At 2 a.m., 3 a.m., to see the similar face of Mr. Noi and his wife, his family sometimes. The classic one would be, he repeatedly come to my hospital with hematemesis or bloody vomiting. And all the same story. I don't have to ask about what happened. His wife will say, okay, Mr. Noi drinking alcohol for 1 day, and soon we found him unconscious in this condition. And this is the same story again and again. Some night, sometime, his wife become the victim herself, with fracture, with cut here and there, all beaten by Mr. Noy after his drinking. So I'm so tired treating him, treating his wife as well sometimes, for this preventable illness, preventable condition. Sometimes we have to give blood to him, blood transfusion to Mr. Noy. And people ask me if it worth to give our blood in which we got from the donation to people like Mr. Noy, because he do harm to himself. I even refer him to the rehabilitation service, but just soon, just like a revolving door, soon, few weeks or months, Mr. Noy will come to see me again with the same symptom of beating his wife again, with the same problem. So one night, I quite grumpy. So I say, enough is enough. So I myself registered the case with the police and saying that this man, Mr. Noy, do the offensive assault to his wife, beating his wife here. And I registered the case to the police by as a doctor. And I told him, I will no longer, as long as I'm here, I will no longer treat you, Noy, because you make problem for yourself. What do you think? In the morning after, one reason I inform his families that I don't want to use our limited resource to this self-harming patient like Mr. Noy again. I don't like to give the blood that we get from donation with the trust given to us to something like this again. But the morning after, someone knocking my door. They are Mr. Noy's daughter and her mother, his wife, begging me to withdraw the case against her father, asking me not to give up treating Mr. Noy. So I asked why. Because at that time, I thought to myself that I did a great job because I want to protect you, the victim, from him. I thought that your wife, the wife would be happy with my decision if the police arrest Mr. Noy, so he cannot further beating you. But his daughter answered, that changed my life forever. His daughter answered me that, doctor, when you treat my father, he stopped drinking for one day or for few days. But for those days, I got my father back. I got my good father back for those days. And that days and those days mean so much to me and my mother. And when my dad started to go back to drinking, I lost him. And I know to myself that, okay, now I will continue treating him, even with small outcome. Now I know myself that how valuable one day is for for the daughter and her mother, and we should not give up. That day, so meaningful to her. The lesson learned for me from Mr. Noy's story, which is very common story, that the little contribution, the little outcome doesn't mean absence. Every move counts. And I hope you learned something from this one. but how to, as youth, how you can address tobacco and alcohol pandemics. Firstly, you should understand the complex terrains of alcohol and tobacco policy domain. You should be well aware of the industry interference and listen to many speakers before me. And you should never be trapped by their playbook. The alcohol and tobacco industry work just like the mosquito for catching case of malaria. The mosquito, they bite to expand their pandemic. The tobacco and the alcohol industry do the marketing to expand their profitable pandemic as well. And if you look at what happened to tobacco will happen to alcohol policy control. They would like to interfere. They would cast a doubt to the scientific evidence, and they will discredit you. And they will claim about their economic contribution. They will make the government chill that, okay, we want to move our factory out of the country. They know well for long that youth are target. Youth are their future. They target teenager. If they don't target teenager, youth, for their unjust survival, they won't survive. So you won't believe this happened, but it happened in 1950s. Youth are the target of this health harmful product. Over 100 years of stimulating ads they make, and they very much target youth. But you are also the power. You are also the solution to address your own future. We can refer to youth power. Okay, I will end up this slide. I will call you because someone raised a hand. Okay. We can refer back to the youth power in alcohol movement since 19th century. They are not very much, of course, there's in black and white in terms of the concert, the alcohol-free concert that we have a few years ago, and the previous gathering of the alcohol-free youth in Sheffield 100 years ago, almost 150 years ago. And up to now, we still have youth movement in tobacco and alcohol control. We have to keep it up. So can I call, is there anyone who would like to take the floor?
Any questions or anything that you want to share?
I will continue then, and then I come back.
Oh, okay.
Because I just saw someone raise their hand. Okay. 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 I will not answer how to win both alcohol and tobacco battlefront because it's so difficult. You have listened to knowledgeable speaker, and you can also search by yourself. But here's my tips to you. So we have to upscale youth engagement from just beneficiary. Many of our policy are still at this stage. If you look at the right side, is the yellow thing. There's a youth at the center of tobacco control policy, but actually the policy, the intervention, the action are just seeing youth as beneficiary. That is good start, but not enough. We need to upscale this to partner to someone we can work with, youth can work with, and then later on, youth as a driver, as a main driver, in the driving seat of the tobacco control program and alcohol control program as well, to tackle the same problems because there are many commonalities. My first tip to you is use your strength, exercise your strength. Youth and kids are always the concern of the whole society. And when you speak, people listen. And you are strong when you are connected. So these are the strength of youth. There's many weakness, but I will not touch it. One weakness for youth movement is sometimes you use emotional judgment rather than value. So you jump from one to one. We need someone who keep biting, like Catherine, to keep biting on the issue of mosquito net. This is why older people, the generation before you, can help to inform you the evidence and wisdom. But they, however, they cannot replace your movement. They cannot do youth movement. So evidence-based movement, sometimes you tend to focus only on individual, in which I understand, because I was like that before. When we have a full of self-confidence, we tend to believe that, okay, if individual has been equipped with knowledge, with skill, then they can protect themselves because it's a freedom. But experience and evidence show that we need a comprehensive approach. We need a strong individual, strong enough to protect themselves and place a good enabling environment around them. And you yourself are the most powerful, most influential environment to the people next to you. So, but where to start? Where to start this battlefield? Simple answer from me to you. Start doing one at a time. Doing one at a time. Start from the nearest one. Start from the one you love and the one who loves you. Few doesn't mean meaningless. You have this lesson learned again and again. That can change the whole life. I would end with a story of a starfish. One morning, a guy seeing a boy throwing starfish from the beach back to the sea, one by one. So he criticized the boy that you are doing nothing because there are 1,000 starfish lying down on the beach, about to die because the sun is rising. You cannot make any difference. But the boy keep throwing the starfish back and said, the value I made is the difference contribute to that starfish I just throw back. So that is difference between you doing some small thing, but that's so valuable to that starfish. Be the change you want to see in the world. You have to be the change first. And you all can do the same, I believe. And this is the key message, the summary. Dangerous duo, Hell and Beyond, the whole SDG. They have many commonality. They affect human capital of the present and the future. And they are unjust, consumed by some, profit to a few. Looking at the face of the child labor in tobacco industry, but impact everyone. Every move counts. Small move counts. Simple move counts. If you do it big with big heart. And youth can be the driver. Protect yourself. Protect one by one, the one next to you, and protect the next batch. I transfer the duty to deliver the. I will continue working, not stop working, but the duty to build up the better world is on your hand, and increasingly on your shoulder as well. So that ends my presentation. Now I'd like to hear from you, please. I use 35 minutes. I stop my share.
Thank you so much, Dr. Thaksaphon, for the wonderful and very inspiring presentation. You know, for me personally, I'm really inspired by this Mr. Noise story, and I believe that every single person including myself and everyone here, we all have something that, inspired us, to what we are doing right now. Otherwise, we would be doing something else, right? For example, being in the campaign, being in the conference, in the tobacco tackling conference like this, I believe that there must be something that inspired you all to do what you're doing right now. So I think we have plenty of time right now. If you have any question, raise the hands. Good afternoon. Can you invite me to the room? There's one person that's waiting to get in the room right now. I'm telling the staff. Any questions? You can put it in the chat box and I can ask for you. Or if there's any experience that you want to share, what inspired you to do this in the first place, please go ahead and share with us.
When we attend the very, very high level of the forum, people think in a very global or national scale. That is good. It is good. Very, very effective and cost-effective intervention. People try to go back to change the whole tax system and that kind of thing. But I agree that we need both that kind of helicopter view and we also need action on the ground. And that's the question about Mr. Noy. No, soon he passed away. Soon he passed away. But what I know is that there's some memory about good father to that girl. Without our intervention, she might never memorize, the good picture of her. That
Yeah, that's a follow-up question. Is a father stopped drinking alcohol?
Even you try your best. These addiction signs, you say that the majority of the patients from even the most advanced technique will come back. That's why we call it revolving door. They will come back to the hospital, to the clinic again. But don't be upset by that because you give some good day to them and family. That is very valuable. If you ask those terminal state of cancer patient, what will you do if you have more one month more? So that is so valuable that we do with quality time to their family. And if you can stop someone from smoking when they are teenager, in Thailand data, you add 4 years to their life. 4 years to do many, many things to their family, to the whole society. Even you try to promote the quit at 40 years old, you still give them almost 2 years, 1 year and 8 months something to them. So that is long enough for them to have a meaningful and quality time with their family. Helping one is helping the world.
Yeah, I totally agree. And as a psychiatrist, I have a chance to work with lots of people with addiction problem, cigarette smoking, alcohol use. And, every time there's a win in the competition, every time there's a smoking cessation or sobriety, even for some period of time, we really value that experience. And we really say it directly to the patient that this is something big for you. Of course, even if there's a relapse or, the recurrence of smoking coming up later, every time, every success counts, and every time there's a sobriety happening, it means a lot. And that's a better chance for that person to be sober for a longer period of time later.
Okay. Okay, I think.
Any other questions? Anything else that you want to ask before we move on to the next session, which will be the last session for today?
A great interesting question from Marie.
Okay. If someone doesn't care about health, economy, or family, how can we convince them to quit from alcohol and tobacco? How do we convince the group of people who are believed to be impossible? That's a very good question. What do you think?
There will be at least 10 notes to everyone. There will be some entry point to everyone. And I totally believe that, as a human being, they do believe in something. They do value something. If you can find that entry point, that matter. One very nice social innovative program here in small village, I may refer to a mathematical I kind of call this one mathematics teacher in a primary school. He assigned his student in a primary school student for a semester homework to do the whole semester. He asked his student to go back home and do the family account. How much you spend on each item, and then there's 2 items on tobacco and alcohol. So the kids has to go and ask their parents, how much do you spend on tobacco today? If you spend on tobacco 10 baht, 15 baht here, and then they count. And at the semester end, they come up with the idea that if we combine the whole thing, this family can buy the new bicycle from tobacco. This family can buy a new TV from the expense of alcohol. So that is easy. So simple doesn't mean ineffective. I got one question before I end. Someone would like to take the floor? Perhaps anyone from IMSA? No, it's not me. Okay, Siri Rudy, please clap. If I pronounce your name right.
Yes, Siri Rudy from IFMSA Thailand. I have a question regarding empowering and making youths more confident. Because Dr. Lek, I think you mentioned letting youth play a bigger role in solving this problem. So I was wondering, do you have any kind of strategies as to how to empower youth and make them feel confident to take part in being part of the solution, as Catherine had in the fight against malaria? Especially Thai youth, when we live in a society where it's quite hierarchical and we feel maybe inferior to people who might be more experienced than us. So that is my question to you. How can we help youth feel more empowered and confident?
Yep. We feel confident when we start acting something and we learn and we see the outcome. So my tips to you is, first is, as I said, that focus on your strength and your value and be connected. It doesn't mean you have to connect on the horizontal view. You can connect to the vertical view, to your elderly, to other group outside health as well. The weakness, then let me review it. One of the weakness of youth organization is the high mobility. When you start to learn something, when you start to know the network, then you end up as a youth. You end up as IMSA, you go to the real thing. But if you can continue that kind of network, informal network, that would help. And when you start doing something and you engage with something and you see the change with your eyes, that will empower. That will make you proud of yourself. If you look at, you can help this person, you can help, you organize this alcohol-free, tobacco-free something. So you try to change a little bit by bit, the social norm. That is a big success. And if you do by yourself, you know that is very much, this is called self-reinforcing value and self-reinforcing empowerment to you. You just listen to a good story and you're not doing that. Catherine cannot do this if she just see as a normal documentary and stop doing there. The action speak louder. So start doing something. And I look forward to see your contribution to the So
Thank
I
you
think that,
very much.
yeah, thank you. I end my session of 45 minutes. Thank you very much. It is my great honor to be with you and look forward to see your promising and bright future. We can work together across generations.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Thaksaphon.